of a young man who heard Paulo to Pregar in a window, sleep, fall of the third watch, died and resist. And on the first day of the week, when the disciples were gathered together to break the bread, Paul, who was to depart the next day, spoke to them, and prolonged the practice until midnight. And there were many lights in the upper room where they were together. And when a certain young man was named Ežutico, seated at a window, fell from the third floor, taken from a deep sleep that came to him during Paul's long speech, and was raised up dead. But Paul went down and bowed, and embraced him, and said, Be not troubled, for his soul is in him. And as he went up and broke the bread, and having eaten, yet he spake unto them broad unto the dawn. And so he departed. And they brought the young man alive, and were not uncomely comforted. Acts 27-12. Dear brothers, Paul was speaking in the upper room, and began speaking at an early hour, and it was already midnight, and Paul was still talking about God's things with great enthusiasm, and there were many lights in the place where they were all together. And he had a young man, who was listening to Paul preach. He was in a window, on the third floor. And because Paul stretched a lot, the young man fell asleep, slept, and fell, from the third floor. When they went to see him, who was dead, and Paul embracing him, said, Do not be worried, for his soul is already in his body again. And continuing the speech, broke the bread, and distributed to all, and continued speaking until dawn. And when they left, the young man's relatives were so happy, because the young man left with his perfect health. Dear brothers and sisters, the gospel. It is power to all those who believe. For Paul, that fact, which was a tragedy for all, Paul acted as if it were something common, easy to solve. Hugging him restored his health. Dear brothers and sisters, our goal is to become aware of the action of the Holy Spirit in the natural, in which the Holy Spirit acts, in situations that are irreversible situations for us, as was the case of that young man's death. Within today, the Holy Spirit acts in the same way where